Next up, let's talk about the decision to sell your home. A Seller's Guide, Chapter 9, Making a Decision to Sell. Deciding to sell your property is not something that you do on a whim. This decision, although based entirely on personal motives, must also reflect your present and future needs adequately. The sales process varies in complexity from a seller to seller due to different factors, and each property, as well as various economic factors in the market. A house for sale. Ask yourself the right questions before deciding to sell. Is it a good time to sell my property? Given the situation of the real estate market, does the market give the advantages to the buyers right now? Will you be able to get the desired price under these conditions? What reasons motivate you to want to dispose of your property? You may have to sell your home because of a change of job, a need for more space for family, or closer to an urban community. The reasons are entirely personal but must be weighed, and your plan must be well planned out before deciding to sell. If you decide to sell, then you will want to begin the process of selling your property. You will then have to ask yourself the essential questions. 1, do I want to figure this out alone or with a real estate broker? And 2, sell with a broker or sell it yourself. Selling and building is far from child's play. You have to think of everything to avoid the costly mistakes. The sale of the property requires a lot of technical knowledge on the part of the seller if he or she decides to sell his home based on himself. Sell yourself. If you decide to sell your property yourself, you may want to first make sure that you have the time to devote to the project. Managing the sale of your property requires not only resources and energy, but a lot of time. The most significant advantage of selling yourself is to avoid having to pay the broker's commission, which often varies between 4 to 6% of the sale price. It is a lot of money, but the responsibilities inherent in the sale must be rewarded because it is a lot of responsibility. If you want to sell your property yourself, you will need to do several things. 1, establish the right selling price for your property. 2, highlight it and prepare it for pre-sale. 3, launch advertising and campaigns and manage marketing. 4, visit and speak with potential buyers. 5, receive and analyze purchase offers. Next, you want to think about adapting your availability to that of your potential buyers. Being able to bear the stress of the phone that does not ring. Don't be in a hurry. Most sellers who decide to sell on their own are usually in no rush. They want to save several $1,000s on commission, but they generally have no reason to force them to sell their property quickly. This decision also implies that you are responsible for all of the staging of the project, including the legal documents relating to the promises to purchase and the counter proposals. In the absence of a real estate broker, you will also have to take care of everything that attracts publicity to publicize your building. If you want visitors and potential buyers, you need to put a minimum budget to increase the visibility of your property on the internet, as well as various other news media outlets. If you are comfortable with all of these aspects, you are in no rush and you have the time to deal with all the issues of selling a home, it may be appropriate to consider selling a home without a real estate broker. Next up is selling with a real estate broker. If you want a peace of mind and you have certainty that all of the operations of the sale will be carried out correctly, it is recommended to do business with a real estate broker or real estate agent. They are specially trained for this type of project and have the skills to sell your property without any problems. The primary function of these professionals is to act as the intermediary between you and two stakeholders, often a seller and a buyer, or an owner and a tenant. They therefore act as the facilitators and negotiators between the two parties. So, if you decide to contract the services of an agent, you are assured that by the Real Estate Brokerage Act that he or she will be responsible for all the rules and convictions established when selling your property. The main disadvantage of this choice is that you will have to pay a percentage of the commission, usually between about 4 to 6% of your property's sale price. Regardless of whether it is sold in a week or 6 months, nonetheless, if you decide to market with a broker, this will be the estimated cost. Next, here's a list of main advantages that you will benefit from working with a real estate professional. You are going to get the ability for them to assess the fair value of your property. They will receive calls, visit, and speak with all your customers. They will take care of the marketing, the advertising, and the promotion of building on various private channels, in particular Citrix, because it saves you time. Your real estate professional accompanies you through the sales process. They take you through all the legal documents, and they negotiate effectively for you to weigh in on the advantages and the disadvantages of certain homes. So you need to make an informed decision based on your needs, strengths, and weaknesses. This is one of the best things that a real estate agent can help you with. If you have time and you are in no hurry and you have the skills to publicize your building and manage legal documents, selling by yourself can be an attractive alternative. Nonetheless, if you know full well that your schedule is busy and that you're not the right person for sales and that you do not know where to start to market your property, it can be the right decision to call in a real estate professional. The broker undeniably has the necessary tools to ensure that you don't have to worry. To analyze the advantages and the disadvantages of each option and to make a decision that will allow you to sell your home effectively. Once you find the correct broker, one of the first things that you're going to do is signing the brokerage contract. If you choose to sell with the help of a real estate broker, you will have to sign a brokerage contract. It is a contract that establishes a professional link between you and your real estate professional to create obligations of both parties for a limited period. There are several types of brokerage contracts. There are two main types, and here are the first two. Exclusive brokerage contract. This type of contract obliges the seller to do the business only with the broker designated in the agreement and prevents him from using services for any other intermediary to sell his property. This type of contract that brokers generally prefer because it guarantees them compensation at the time of the purchase of the home. On the other hand, this assures the seller that the broker will devote maximum time and effort to the property since he is the only one in charge. Next is the non-exclusive brokerage contract. This type of contract allows the seller to sell his property himself or through another intermediary than the broker designated in the agreement. It is a contract that may seem advantageous for the seller. With this type of contract, the broker can still ask for a higher percentage of compensation in the event of the sale, or even not put as much effort into the sale of the property, since nothing guarantees him retribution at the end. So you have to put all your cards on the table when negotiating this type of contract to be transparent. Above all, you should not see the broker as a competitor or even as an enemy, but rather as a partner and an associate. Therefore, you must choose between these two types of brokerage contracts when you negotiate with your broker. First, consider your goals and your needs and the level of involvement you want to play in the sales process. When you have made your decision, you will have to write the contract. Content that must be included inside of the brokerage contract. Most of the time, brokers have the contracts for you all ready to go. The brokerage contract must include the following sections: identification of the parties. The persons initiating the contract must be identified in the first section of the agreement. House-related documents, the name and the address of the broker, the realtor's name and their certification number, the names and the contact details of the sellers, owners, and the building. It is important to note that if you are two people who are full owners of the building, you cannot sign the brokerage contract without each person's approval and presence. Description of the building for sale. The building designated in the contract must be subject to an accurate description of all its components, both inland and structure. You must therefore provide the agent with all the information you hold related to your property. Here are a few examples of the things you may need: certificate of location, size and area of the land, the general condition of the property, tax amount, recent renovations, room size, living area, any other important information relating to the state of the property. You must also submit the act of acquisition that you have contracted, as well as a certificate of location on your property. The license of the site will also be required by signing the deed of sale. The contract must also include the address of the property. If the building is a co-ownership, it is necessary to specify whether we are talking about a divided or an undivided property and to include it in the contract. In this case, it should also include the following information: the number of parking lots included, the number of storage spaces included, a copy of the declaration of co-ownership, and a copy of building regulations. Next, we want to focus on the selling price. Determining the sale price of your property is crucial in your sales strategy. To determine the realistic rate at which you can expect to sell your property, you should be able to do a brief analysis of comparable properties that have been sold in the market recently. Your broker, through his training and experience, can then be beneficial to you, and they can give you an idea of the real value of your property by doing this comparative market analysis. They will carry out a simplified analysis of the comparable method and the present sales of comparable buildings in the same area that you live in. However, it can be up to you to target the sales price, taking into account the advantage and the value predicted by your real estate agent. However, it will be easier for you to determine a fair, realistic, and competitive price. At this stage, you will need to help your broker by targeting your property's strengths and weaknesses. Either the exterior layout, recent renovations, a renovated kitchen, a finished basement, a possibility of enlargement, or any other concerns you may see. So what we are saying is you will need to sell your property to your seller before they can sell it to an interested buyer. You are the owner, so you know the property best. You are the owner, so you know the property best. You should also be able to identify the strengths in the area in which the property fits. Are you by nearby parks? Are there schools nearby? What's close by? You understand your home, so make sure your broker understands as well. Please note, never ever target a selling price that is too high compared to the market value established by your broker or by market analysis. By doing so, you can repel potential buyers, burn your property, or significantly extend the sales duration. It is never a good idea or a good sign, at least from a buyer's perspective, that a property stays on the market too long. If the owner wishes to change the sale price during the contract, he must then fill out a form to this effect entitled Modifications and a Notice of Fulfillment of Conditions. If you are working with me and you make a decision to price your house higher than the market value suggests, we will go ahead and create one of these modification notices at the time that we sign the contract.